Kareen here with Broken Ground, and today I have my friend Jessica Peterson with Wild Willow Wellness here to talk about the top 5 tea plants that you can grow in cold climates. So Jessie, I would love it if you just introduced yourself and explained a little bit about your business.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Jessica Peterson, and I'm known as Jessie as soon as I say the more formal name. And I do have an apothecary in Helena, Montana called Wild Willow Wellness Apothecary. It's a membership apothecary. So you essentially purchase a CSA membership, so community supported agriculture, and you get packages every 3 months that are curated wellness products associated with the 4 seasons. And people come and pick up their kits every 3 months on the equinoxes and solstices. And I've been doing this now for, I'm entering my 6th year of having the apothecary, and I try to grow as much as possible for the apothecary, and that's always evolving. And so I partially grow a lot of the perennial plants for my products. And then I also buy from local growers as much as possible. And it's all organic and regeneratively farmed and all that good stuff.
Great. I love your business model. I think it's so great, taking the CSA model that we've seen in kind of market garden or in farms for vegetable production and taking it to a different level with herbs. So, and I'm sure that your members are super excited when they get their little package of their wellness kit every season.
Yes, and I am also very excited. It's fun because I get to really like design the boxes every season, and so there is this really lovely element of what's growing, and so what is appropriate and just already there and available to us as far as Montana plants are concerned. And then just like where my interests take me, like this past summer, um, I found out about hard kombucha. And so then for the spring wellness kit that I just distributed, I made a hard kombucha and used aronia, actually from the Sixth Ward Garden Park, which is a public edible park that you and I both worked on many years ago. That's become much more developed. And yeah, and so just this beautiful kind of creative process between like what's growing and then what I come upon in terms of recipes I get excited about. So yeah, it's really a wonderful experience, and I think usually the members do feel pretty excited about what they're getting.
Very cool, very cool. So the reason I wanted to have you on here is just to give some people ideas. When we talk about growing food forests, we talk about kind of fruit and nut trees that we can grow, and obviously the species that you put in your food forest to build soil and attract pollinators. And I've had Elaine Chef on before talking about the medicinal plants that you can grow, but I'd like to take it to another level just in terms of another thing that you can grow are plants that you can use for tea. So let's take us through your top 5 for this climate.
Yeah, so tea is an amazing way to include plant nutrition into a diet. And definitely since I've had the apothecary and since I've started growing in Montana, I've realized that there are some plants that do better than others, and also like what plants are really delicious and also very like functional for our bodies and help us to stay healthy and well throughout all the seasons. So I do have 5. There are many more that I could talk about, but I did break it down into 5 to share today. And the first one I wanted to talk about was elderflower. Elderflower, of course, is preliminary to the elderberry, which I think a lot of the viewers will be aware of. And elderflower blooms basically sort of end of May and through June until the berries start to form on the plant. And one of the reasons I like elderflower, so first of all, elderflower is something that's been used for thousands of years in terms of wines and in honeys and in teas and tinctures. You can find all kinds of references to it in different folklore. And so that's pretty cool. And it grows really well here in Montana. And so one of the reasons that you would want to make a tea from elderflower would be for things like influenza, just like the elderberry. Elderflower works to help combat different strains of influenza. It also is really great for just upper respiratory stuff happening. So if you've got like bronchitis, if you've got it can help with some of those early seasonal allergies. It just helps that upper respiratory system just function better, helps to kind of clear the airways. It also can be used if you've got swollen sinuses. So that's another kind of, whether it's a cold or some allergies, if you've got some inflamed sinuses, it will help with that. And it's just it's a lovely flavor for a tea. So that's one of my top five.
So when you take the elderflower, you harvest it. Are you using it in your tea as a dried flower, or can you use it fresh, or both, or how do you prepare it?
Yeah, good question. You can do it either way. So if you know that you want to have elderflower around into the season, like I have a tea that I make for my fall wellness kit, so I do want dried elderflowers to be able to use them later. And when I just want some elderflower tea in the springtime, it's very easy also to use fresh elderflower. So you can do it either way. And there's no set amount of flowers that you would use. You can just throw in a handful, see how that tastes, throw in some more if you want a stronger taste, use less next time if you want a less strong taste. So yeah, it's very simple in that regard.
Awesome, awesome. So that's our first tea plant. What's the second one you have for us?
Yeah, so the second one I want to talk about is the sea berry plant, otherwise known as sea buckthorn.
Mhm.
And that was one that came on as a surprise to me. I had definitely heard of sea berries containing all kinds of great nutrition, omegas, all of this. And then when I was not getting as many berries as I wanted to create products for my members in the first few years, looked up, do the leaves have any benefit, and found that in fact they do, and they're very nice tasting. It's a very mild earthy tasting tea with just a slight kind of lemony taste. The leaves themselves are high in vitamin C. They also have a lot of antioxidants. There's a lot of actual protein in the leaves themselves and minerals. And so it's great for balancing blood pressure, lowering cholesterol. It helps with circulation, and it's an immunity booster. And so when you would want to harvest the sea buckthorn leaves are really early in the spring, like once the leaves are out is a good time to start, and you can harvest them into September if you want to. I think the the tendency tends to be, if you want the younger leaves, that can be a really nice time to harvest. And I've also had a lot of success and like nice strong brewed tea from the leaves later. And so I found that you can work with them all season long. And so that's, if we're going to talk about kind of dosages, again, it's a handful, and throwing them into a cup. You can brew from fresh leaves. Again, I'll also dry them if I know that I want to package them up later.
Great. I love how these plants too have multiple functions. We talk about that in permaculture, of course, and the elderberries being, you're being able to eat or use the tea, the flowers for tea, and of course the berries for elderberry syrup, and of course they're a pollinator plant. And then with sea buckthorn, it's a nitrogen fixer, and then you're able to use the tea and the berries. So we love plants.
I
Um,
do love plants.
so what's the third tea plant?
So the third tea plant is one that, again, probably a lot of people have heard of. I have had some surprise realizations about what it does over the past few years. So it's lemon balm, and which is in the mint family. Lemon balm is lovely, and where I first began using it was for the nervous system. It's incredibly calming. It's helpful for sleep. It's very helpful for anxiety, and it's a very easy plant to grow in Montana. So it's a mint. It's one of these ones where you actually have to be sort of careful where you put it because it will spread quite a bit. I don't really mind it spreading. It's a great beneficial insect plant as well. When you are consuming lemon balm, which I think the harvesting time generally is like June, maybe through early August, and it's it's really good to have, again, if you're feeling stress. It's also been shown, like some of what I guess came to realize later as I looked more deeply into the plant, is that it's very good for brain function, for cognitive function. There's been some research about taking tests, and if you have lemon balm ahead of the test, you do better cognitively on mathematics.
Wow.
Um, it is one of the really interesting things that I didn't know that I found out recently is that it's a really strong antiviral. So great on the herpes virus, for example. And so I have been including it in some of my like antiviral fall and winter tea blends. And so interesting too, because like I know cold sores can be associated with stress and anxiety. Like that's when they will reappear on the body. So how amazing that there's this plant that helps with both of those things, kind of for different reasons, but it's this feeling of a full circle where a plant's really kind of embracing the person and relieving some of these symptoms. So, and lemon balm, of course, is great for whether it's iced or hot. And so I love making a summer tea, like a sun tea with lemon balm, with fresh leaves, and just sipping on that. It's also great for digestion, so wonderful for like a barbecue to have as a tea, and it's also good for menstrual cramps and headache. So lemon balm's just pretty amazing
Yeah,
overall.
exactly. An awesome plant. And
Yeah.
yeah, and just underlaying, I know a lot of people don't like it or it gets a bad reputation because it can spread in your garden, but I agree with you. The more lemon balm, the better, and just the smell, especially if you have kids, it's a great kind of sensory plant as well for them. So, and love, yeah, I love iced lemon balm tea. And I've often combined it with chocolate peppermint and had a lemon balm chocolate peppermint tea, which is super lovely as well. Yeah, so that was third, uh, fourth, fourth plant on the list.
Well, and if you don't mind, I'll just say one more thing about lemon balm that I thought of as you were talking. That is about the kids piece, because one of with my daughter, as she was like 2 and 3 years old, and we had our first balm plant growing, which was from you. I believe you gave me my first plug of lemon balm. And so when she was feeling upset, I told her at one point, eating lemon balm leaves will help relieve your feelings of being upset. And so she will actually go outside when she's feeling upset and eat some lemon balm. And how amazing is that to feel like you can heal yourself by knowing these plants that are available to you outside. So that's just a really just anecdotal cool thing as well. That is nice, a good reason to grow edible plants around your house too when you've got kiddos. um,
Exactly. So awesome. That's great.
so
Yeah.
number 4 is yarrow. And yarrow, I think, is another one that maybe some of your clients will go, like so much yarrow, it's just popping up everywhere. Here in Helena, Montana, we have we're in a rain shadow, being just east of the Continental Divide. We're fairly high elevation. We have really alkaline soils. So we've got a lot of challenges with what will grow. And yarrow is something that grows wild on the mountains around us and grows very well in garden settings. And it's an amazing plant. I know Susun Weed, who's a very famous herbalist, that's like one of her top 10, like in a first aid kit, is yarrow based anything. And with really good reason. Yarrow is great for colds and for allergies. It really helps to like dry up mucus, phlegm, watery eyes. It helps with itchiness. It's really good at stopping bleeding.
Mm.
And so it's you want to take it when you are like as a tea. I know we're specifically talking about teas, but you can also make a tea that you would apply topically
Mhm.
with yarrow. And so that's something where you could use it to help staunch some bleeding. It's also a great antiseptic to clean out a wound. So if you're like out in the wilderness on a camping trip, if you find some yarrow and someone has a cut or something and you're concerned about infection, heat up some water, chop some yarrow up, put it in, and you'll notice that the color of the water will change to a darker color. So you'll know that the yarrow is infusing into that tea. Cool it off, and then put that, on a cloth or something, or just pour it directly over a wound, and it'll help to stop bleeding, to make it cleaner, so that it's less likely to be infected. But yeah, going back to the drinking of the tea, it's really great for the congestion, for allergies. I use it in an allergy tincture as well in the spring. Um, and let's see here. Yeah, and that's another one where it's good at lowering blood pressure,
Mhm.
and also good for like the blood, like how the blood runs through our bodies, our circulatory system. So it's a good one for that as well. Yarrow tends to be on the bitter side,
Mm.
and so that's a good one to either use a fair bit of honey when you're drinking it, mix it with a peppermint, an elderflower, a lemon balm. I think, adding some other herbs with it is a really delicious way. And then to mention Susun Weed again, or maybe it's Rosemary Gladstar. This one's Rosemary Gladstar. So she really talks about how important it is that we embrace our bitter plants and actually enjoy them as they are. And because that bitter taste often means it's highly nutritious and very like dense with nutrition. And so I try to enjoy my bitter plants sometimes as they are. So yarrow is one of those.
And when you're talking about the tea again, are you using both the flower and the leaf or just the
Yeah,
flower?
you would use both. You would harvest that in June and July is the best time. They really do. It's recommended to harvest when it is in fresh flower, but you can cut the the leaves and the stems and use those as well for a tea. And no problem in terms of using it as something that will kill off infection or keep that from happening once it is later. Don't worry about it not working for for that purpose later in the year, but it's best to get it when it's in kind of early flower. And again, fresh, you can make something. Dried is also fine.
Right, right. So yeah, what's the final tea plant that you'd recommend?
So yeah, so great. This one actually relates to that flower, like getting it fresh. So St. John's wort.
Mm.
I like St. John's wort. It's actually it's controversial in Montana. It's considered somewhat of an invasive species. The only reason I can guess that that's the case is that it's toxic to cows. So, us being like a very cattle oriented state, it gets labeled as such. I think cows just avoid it. I don't think there's ever been any evidence of cows eating St. John's wort and dying or being sick. I just notice it doesn't get eaten when it's out there. And so, and I just love St. John's wort. Again, it's with all of these plants, they've been used for thousands of years. St. John's wort definitely has been here in Montana for a long, long time. It is this lovely red color when you so the flowers are yellow and they're out sort of mid-June to kind of mid-July is the best time to harvest St. John's wort. And you mostly try to harvest the flowering tops, but also the leaves are also nice when they're fresh like that to use. You wouldn't harvest that one once the flowers are spent.
Mm.
And dried St. John's wort has a much reduced potency than fresh. So that is one with, and we were talking about the yarrow. I think yarrow dried is still quite potent. St. John's wort is a plant that isn't as potent, and that, for example, I usually make an oil from it. Like you just wouldn't be able to. It wouldn't give you that dark red color. You wouldn't get all the medicine in it if you use dried flowers. So similarly with tea, you want to get that when it's fresh. And so that's you will see that tea dried in like the supermarkets, and that's because that's really the only way that they can get it to you. But it is best if you can find it fresh, and it does grow wild in Montana. So the reason you would want to drink St. John's wort would be related to, it's another nervous system plant. So very good for anxiety, very good for like racing thoughts and just kind of calming the mind, calming the spirit. It is thought of as an antidepressant, and it does have some support for mild depression. Overall, though, it's it's for calming the nervous system, and it has this very lovely sweet kind of heady scent, and it makes a lovely reddish hued brew. So again, that's a really nice one for a sun tea, and to like impress barbecue guests, and just with the beauty of it when you do harvest it and make a sun tea. And yeah, it's just one of these ones that I do hope we keep it around and don't spray it too much with herbicide and pesticide so that the cows, can have all of the plants. But if we leave a little bit for and again, that's such a great one for the insects. I mean, it is like filled with all different types of bees, and it's just a really amazing plant to see in the summertime when it's really in its like blossoming form.
Yeah, I have a huge patch in my food forest, and it's true. Just the amount of different pollinators that you can find at any given time on that plant, it's pretty awesome. So,
And it's so hardy.
for sure. Yeah,
Amazing.
and one thing that we should mention too, right? We talked about it earlier. All of these plants are not only good in cold climates, but they're also fairly drought tolerant as well, right?
Yes. Which in Helena, we only get 11 inches on average, which you're about 21. I mean, it's something really, it's a
I think
really,
we're 16 in
oh,
Bozeman,
is it the 16? Okay.
it's
Okay.
still, it's a significant, it makes a difference for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's really important. I mean, this is a little bit of an aside, but a lot of the plants that I grow here in Helena I harvest them before July. Because they do go a little bit more quiet, dormant brown,
Mhm.
you get their best parts early on, and then you don't have to continuously water them into the fall, and then they're back next spring with the limited amount of water that we have here. So I think pretty much all the elderberry plant needs more water, and I actually have that in a place near my house where it gets a lot of our gray water, and that has really helped. Where the elderberries, I have a few elderberries throughout the yard, and definitely where it's getting like the gray water, um, it's huge and really abundant with plants, so and berries.
So you have so all of those, like you talked about, we can drink those just kind of independently, just, you know, a lemon balm tea or a yarrow tea, but you do have some tea blends that you do. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wanted to share two of my tea blends that are a lot of plants that grow here.
Mhm.
And so the first one I want to talk about is my cold season relief tea blend. And so that changes a little bit every fall, but I always have some sort of blend like it that goes into my fall kit, which revolves around immunity for the most part. So that has peppermint in it, nettle,
Mm.
marshmallow leaf and root, elderflowers, mullein, meadowsweet, yarrow, hyssop, and thyme. And all of those plants are grown locally, and you are able to dry them and have them be a part of a tea to drink later. So, if anybody's interested in making that, I would just encourage you to, you can almost never have too much peppermint, and then kind of play around. The yarrow's bitter, the thyme can be fairly strong. So, you want to play around with how much of each is in there, but that's just a really nice winter blend for immunity, that'll not only help alleviate some of the symptoms when you're sick, but will also help you to get better more quickly. So that's one of my blends.
That sounds
uh,
delicious.
yeah, it is. It's very good. And then another one that I just developed last summer, because we went on a camping trip and I was very interested in collecting horsetail. Horsetail has a lot of silica, and it's really good for like if you've got a broken bone. It's wonderful. Like I was using it for a broken bone tincture that I was making for some of my members when they would break their bones. And but then I gathered a whole bunch and I thought, well, I wonder what else this is good for. And of course, having the silica, it's very good for like strong hair, for skin, for fingernails. And so I made a really delicious tea that I'm still drinking right now. It's so wonderful. And it has all stuff that will grow here in Montana again. So the horsetail, and you want to gather like the grassy part of the horsetail. There's like the two straw looking parts, and then there's like a grassy part. So you harvest the grassy part.
Mm.
Um, and then tulsi and nettle again and peppermint, then lavender, alfalfa, and marshmallow. And it's just a really lovely blend, and yeah, keeps you healthy when maybe things are kind of drying out in July and August and September. Helps to keep your skin and your nails nourished, your teeth strong, your bones strong. So that's another great one, with grown with some Montana plants, that you can either grow or probably pretty easily find at the co-op or something.
So great. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. I'd encourage, for those of you in Helena, definitely check out Jesse's business and become a member. If I were in Helena, I would as well. And check out her website for more information. But are there any other last thoughts that you want to share with people?
Well, my website is wildwillowwellness.com, so just the name. And yes, I do. It's mostly local. We do ship here and there, but in terms of people coming up and picking up their packages and the community events that we do, it is a local one. And other than that, I would just encourage everyone to try to grow something that they think will taste delicious. It's very easy to get some rooted what is the name, Kareen? Like when you grab a plug of mint from you, it's
Oh, a division.
a division, thank you. I've been working a lot with propagating cuttings. So, and you can take cuttings, and there's really easy ways to propagate. A lot of times you can just take a partial piece of someone's plant and then stick it in the dirt at your place. And so it's not as complicated as it might seem. And yeah, I just encourage people to play around with growing herbs for teas. It's a really wonderful, easy way to get the nutrition from plants directly into your body, which just makes us all healthier.
Yay, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jesse, for sharing your knowledge and taking the time to talk with us today.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you. So good to see you.